Good morning, students. Today we are going to start with next types. Next types of operators. So, students, in the previous lecture, we have studied about arithmetic operators, where we have studied different arithmetic operators. After that, we have studied relational operators, where we have studied how we have to create relation between two operands and how we have to compare two operands. And after that we have studied logical operators, where we have studied how we can create logic between two operands and how we can check whether the condition is true or false. So after that today we have to start with next type of operator, that is assignment operator. Now what is assignment operator? Assignment operator in C++ is used to assign values to a variable. So for example, look at the example, students. I have taken an example, x is equals to 10. So let's talk about normal English language, and what we have studied earlier is that is equals to, this symbol is equals to, that we have studied in the normal English language. But in C++ there is a bit difference between normal is equals to and this is equals to. So in terms of C++, this is equals to means assignment operator, and this operator is used to assign value to a variable. So it means if I have written an expression as x is equals to 10, it means that I have assigned a value 10 to a variable x. So this is assignment operator. So similarly we use assignment operator to assign different types of values to different types of variables. Now look at this. We have different types of assignment operators. So look at the first operator, that is equals to, that is normal assignment operator. This is a simple assignment operator, and it assigns value from the right hand side operand to the left hand side operand. So as I have taken an expression as x is equals to 10, at the right hand side we had the value, that is 10, and we have initialized that value, we have passed that value, we have assigned that value to variable x. So here in the example there is an expression that c is equals to a plus b. So a plus b value will be assigned to variable c, that is which is in the left hand side. So that is assignment operator. Next is plus is equals to. Now what is plus is equals to? The name of this operator is and assignment. Add, see students, add, you have already studied add operator in the arithmetic, that what is add operator. Add operator is used to add two operands. So it is this operator is a combination of two operators, plus and is equals to. Add and assignment operator. So that's why the name of this operator is add, and it adds right operand to the left operand and assign the result to the left operand. So look at this expression. So if we take the value, if we want to add the value of a, so what we have to do is we will add the value of a with the c, and result will be transferred back to the c variable. Now next is minus is equals to. Minus stands for subtract. So subtract and assignment operator. So this is a combination of subtract and assignment operator. So similarly it works as c minus a, and result will be transferred back into c. Next is multiply is equals to. Again this is a combination of two operators, multiply and assignment operator. And if we want to multiply two numbers, we have to store the result in the one of the number. So if we are multiplying the value of c with the a, and after that we have to transfer the result back into the c variable. Now after that the next variable is divide and assignment operator. Again this is the next category. Next is modulus and assignment operator. Next is left shift and operator. So the first two symbols, these are left shift operators, which we use as to compare two numbers also, but that is different operator. So left shift with assignment operator. Next is right shift and assignment operator. So this is again a combination of two operators. Next is ampersand is equals to, we call this operator as bitwise and assignment operator. In the next category we have to study bitwise operator, so it will be clear to you what is bitwise operator. Ampersand is a bitwise operator and is equals to is assignment operator. So this operator is bitwise and assignment operator. Next is bitwise exclusive OR operator and assignment operator. So the symbol that given in the second last position, that is bitwise OR, and the last symbol is inclusive OR operator. So with this, students, we have studied different categories of assignment operator, and it is important to understand that what is assignment and what is the difference between assignment and is equals to operator. So I hope it is clear to you that what is assignment operator. Next operator is bitwise operators. These are very important operators, and many times question will be asked on this topic, that what is bitwise operators and what are the different categories that are available in bitwise operators. So let's start with this. So bitwise operator works on bits and perform bit by bit operation. So this operator basically works on bits. So what are bits? In the first unit we have studied that we have binary numbers 0, 1, with the combination of zeros and ones we can generate any number. So every single digit is known as bit. So if I call a single digit, that is 0, it is a bit. If I have a combination of 4 0 1 0 1, 4 numbers, so this is, it means there are 4 bits. So bitwise operator is used to perform working on bits, and it performs bit by bit operation. Now let's start with the first category, AND operator. Now what is bitwise AND operator? Binary AND operator copies a bit to the result if it exists in both operand. Students, I will show you by discussing it with example that how we have to perform bitwise AND. So AND is in the logical operator. I have explained you that when we apply AND operation on any two operands, you will get the output true only if both the operands or if both the inputs are true, otherwise you will get false output. So in today's video I will show you how we have to perform bitwise AND operation and how the AND operation works. So let's suppose we have two numbers. Let's suppose we have two numbers A and B, and the value of A is 10 and the value of B is 7. Now the very first thing that we have to do is we have to convert these decimal numbers. These are decimal numbers. We cannot perform binary operation on decimal numbers or bit operation on decimal numbers. So first of all we have to convert these decimal numbers into binary numbers. So look at the right hand side of A is equals to 10. So 1010 is the binary equivalent number of 10. So decimal number 10. So this is the binary equivalent of decimal number 10. So in binary we write 10 as 1010. Now next number is 7. We write 7 in binary number as 0111. So here we have skipped 0 because it doesn't make any change to the expression. So otherwise if we write 4 bits, that is 0111, but if we are writing 3 bits, then we have to write 111. So this is the binary equivalent of 7. Now we have to perform AND operation, bitwise AND operation on these two numbers. So let's check how we have to perform bitwise AND operation. So write this first number 10. So this is, look at the expression A and B, A ampersand B is equals to 1010. This is 10, and now in the next line this is bitwise ampersand, bitwise AND operator, and the next value is 0111. Now we have to check the result, we have to generate the result. So how we have to generate the result? Start from the right hand side and compare the bits and generate answer. So start from the rightmost position, rightmost bit. So the rightmost bit is 0 and 1. According to the first value 1010, the rightmost bit is 0, and according to the second operand, that is 7, the rightmost bit is 1. 0 and 1 will generate the output as 0, because when we perform AND operation, you will get true or you will get 1 only if both the inputs are 1. So in this, only one of the input is 1, so we will get the answer as 0. Now let's move to next bit. The next bit is 1, and according to second operand, the second bit is 1. 1 1, you will get the output as 1. So that's why in the answer the last bit is 0 and the second last bit is 1. Now let's move to third bit. Third bit is 0, and in the second expression third bit is 1. So 0 and 1 will generate 0. Now let's move to fourth bit, that is the leftmost bit. Leftmost bit is 1 and 0 of both the expression. First bit, leftmost bit 1 and 0, so you will get the answer as 0. So on an ultimately, after performing the bitwise AND operation, we are getting the output as 0 0 1 0, that is 0 0 1 0, and 0 0 1 0 is equivalent to 2 of decimal number system. In binary we write 2 as 0 0 1 0, and if we have to convert it into decimal, so that is 2. So this is how we can compare two numbers, we can perform bitwise AND operation on any two binary numbers. So we get the output as 2. Now let's study the remaining bitwise operators. So we have completed the first bitwise AND operator, A and B. So next is bitwise OR operator. Now this single pipeline symbol is used to denote bitwise OR operator. Now what is OR operator? OR operator generates true output if one of the operand is true. So it will generate the output true if one of the operand is true, that is bitwise OR operator. Now third operator is binary XOR operation. Now what is XOR operation? XOR operation is exclusive OR operation. Exclusive OR operation will generate the output 1 if one of the bit is 1. Okay. So if one of the operand is 1, it will generate the output as a true. Next is ones complement operator. Binary ones complement. Fourth operator is ones complement. As in the logical category we have studied and NOT operator. NOT gate is used to produce the inverse of the input or to produce the complement of the input. Similarly, this complement operator is used to produce inverse, or it works as a NOT operation. So it produces inverse. So if we have a value 1, you will get the output as 0. Now next, fifth bitwise operator is binary left shift operator. The left operand value is moved left by number of bits specified by the right operand. So the last operator is right shift operator. It is used to shift the bits right. So the left operand value is moved right by the number of the bits specified by the right operand. So these all are the bitwise operators. So students, with this, so this is the example that we have already discussed. So students, with this we have completed the topic of operators, that is C++ operators. So it is very important topic, so you must go through this topic. Now let's start with the next topic of this unit, The next topic of this unit is libraries in C++. So what do you mean by library in C++? Library means, for example, let's talk about real life library in your school, in your college, or in your home. So what is library? Library is where you keep all your books, and whenever you require that books, you can go to your library and you can get your book and you can read the contents, whatever you want to do. So it is just a collection that you have already kept somewhere, so that you can use it whenever you required. So similarly in C++, in this language, there are libraries which are already provided by the compiler, and you can simply use it by just using their names. So different types of libraries are available, different categories are available. So in this session we have to study what are the different types of libraries available in C++, and what type of operation we can perform by using these libraries. So let's start with this. In C++, standard library can be divided into two main categories. So these two main categories are the standard function library and the object oriented class library. So what is standard function library? Standard function library means it has simple and main standard functions which we use for the journal purpose. So this library consists of journal purpose standalone functions that are not part of any class. The function library is inherited from C language. So see students, C++ language is extension of C language. We have already studied in the very first lecture of C++. So C++ is inherited from C language. So similarly, there are some basic functions and basic libraries which are also inherited from C language. So in this category, these all functions all basic functions comes under this kind of library. So standard function library is used to perform standard functions, basic functions, and these are standalone functions. Whatever functions we want to use, we can use with this library. Okay, now the next category is object oriented class library. So students, I have explained you that C language is not based on objects, whereas C++ language is based on objects. So that's why the name of C++ is object oriented programming language. So according to this language, this is a collection of, according to this library, object oriented library, this is a collection of classes and associated functions. So all the functions which are related to classes, all the concepts of classes, inheritance, polymorphism, all these things comes under object oriented class library. Now we have to study what type of functions comes under standard library and what type of functions comes under object oriented library. I hope it is clear to you. The very basic functions and the journal purpose function comes under standard library, whereas the functions related to class, inheritance, polymorphism, and these concepts all comes under object oriented class library. So let's start with the standard function library. So in the standard function library, it is divided into following categories, and we can perform these types of functions. Input output functions, all the input output functions. For example, if you want to write a program and you want to take input as in input from the user in the form of numbers, and you want to provide output, and you want to create a program, whenever we write program, we require some input output functions, because we have to write input output functions to get the value from the user and to provide the output to the user. So all these categories of functions comes under input output function, and this whole category of function input output comes under standard library functions. Next is string and character handling function. All the string related functions. String is combination of characters. So in the coming sessions we will study strings in detail, then it will be more clear to you that what are string functions and how we can perform different string functions. So C++ has provided us many built-in string functions, so we can simply apply these functions to perform the different operations on string. So all these string functions comes under standard function library. Next is mathematical function. All the mathematical functions like cos, tan, average, all these functions comes under this category. So students, these all are general purpose functions. Next is time, date and localization. All the functions which are related to time, date, localization as in when we have to declare variables, we have to decide whether we have to declare variables in local mode or as in global mode. So all these functions comes under standard function library. Next is dynamic allocation. Dynamic allocation functions involves we have functions like malloc, calloc. So these functions are used to allocate memory to the variables. So whenever we have to require or whenever we have to use these functions or when we require these functions, we can simply use these functions from the standard function library. Next is miscellaneous functions. Many different types of functions comes under miscellaneous functions, and after that we have one more category, wide character function. So students, with this we have studied that in the standard function library we have all the basic and all the standard functions that we mostly require when we have to write C++ program. Now next category, the next category is object oriented class library. So as I have already told you that in the object oriented class library, if when we have to use functions related to class, inheritance, polymorphism, all the advanced concepts, so in that case we have to make use of this library, that is object oriented class library. So in this we have standard C++ input output classes. There are built-in classes and we can simply use it. Next is string classes, numeric classes, STL container classes. STL stands for standard template library. So what is standard template library? Standard template library is a set of C++ template classes which provides common programming data structures and functions. Standard template library provides us facility that we can make use of arrays, list, stack, queues. So by using all these data structures we can create programs and we can make use of their built-in libraries. And after that, STL algorithms, STL functions, STL iterators, loops of STL, STL allocators, that is standard library function also provides some functions to allocate memory to variables. So all these categories comes under allocators. And algorithms, will consider algorithms. In the function objects they have already some built-in functions and we can use it by just using their name. And after that, one very important point is exception handling. Exception handling is a very important category and it has many exception handling functions, and when we deal with that type of exception in the C++ program, they work and they generate required output. So in the exception handling category, for example, if I want to access some value or I want to print or I want to store value and there is not enough memory, so there is a exception handling function which generates the output as there is no enough memory required. So these types of functions comes under exception handling classes. And miscellaneous support library. So students, these all are the library functions of the object oriented class library. So in the today's session we have studied different libraries of C++, where library is divided into two different categories, and we have studied both the categories, standard function library and object oriented. In the standard function we have very basic functions and standard functions which are used for general purpose, whereas in the object oriented class library we have studied the functions which are basically related to the concept of classes. So in the standard function library, we have studied all these general purpose functions like string, input, output, math functions, date, time, dynamic allocation, and miscellaneous functions. Whereas in the object oriented, we have studied all the functions which are related to standard template library functions of C++, how we have to deal with algorithms, functions, iterators, allocators, and exception handling. So students, that's all for today. Tomorrow we will start with the basic structure of C++ program, that what are the different parts of a program and how we have to design a program. So in the today's video we have studied libraries. Tomorrow we will start with the basic structure of C++. So that's all for today.